This boss is surrounded by a sea of poison, and this fight has 3 Bowsers. Today, we're making extremely tough custom Mario Odyssey bosses because my arch nemesis Timmy Thompson doesn't think we can do it. I decided to remake all the revenge fights from Peach's Kingdom as the basis for my custom bosses while building up to an epic Bowser fight at the end. To start, I chose Mollusk Launcher and pushed myself to make him look more evil. I learned how to edit his texture and changed his colors to look more menacing. After the first attempt, I got this cursed look, but eventually I got it right. My next idea was trying to make the entire stage have poison waves as the floor. For some reason, when I added them in, they didn't show up, so I took poison from the Lost Kingdom instead. I was really excited to add giant eels that would pop up all around the level, but didn't know how to edit their properties and they were just invisible whenever I tried. I decided I'll return to that idea later. Instead, I took bonsai blasters and put them around the battle arena to shoot bonsai bills at Mario. I added them in stacks of 5 so Mario couldn't just fly over the top or underneath them. I'm really happy with how this one turned out, and we're going to keep getting better to build up to the ultimate Bowser fight at the end. I moved on to Knuclotec next. Instead of looking more evil, I wanted his face to stand out as a really unique boss, so I made it from sweet, sweet gold. Then I experimented with different enemies to add by putting the Hat Catcher bomb guys, but I felt like it didn't really add much to the fight with all the mummies that spawn constantly, so I got rid of them. Next, I took the Snow World ground to place around the arena to emphasize the ice theme of the fight and took air currents to place them in a circle and push Mario around. Because they all push inward, Mario could easily get trapped in the center with the mummies and Knuclotec. When I took on this fight, I found out that Knuclotec can hide behind the ice walls before throwing his hands or charging at Mario, making it way harder to predict and dodge. It was tough and fun to balance between staying away from the center of the arena and guessing when Knuclotec would swoop in. 2 boss battles successfully customized, and I'm feeling good about our progress. Maybe this will shut down Timmy Thompson's constant trolling. I wanted to take on the Ruined Dragon next. After struggling with the eels in the mollusk fight, I was determined to get them to work for this one. I thought that the eels had a similar look to the dragon and that it could fit the theme really well. I experimented with different heights and placements for about an hour until I figured out how these eels actually work. I added 5 eels popping out of the ground around the center and the sides of the arena to attack Mario as he runs away from Lord of Lightning's projectiles. I wanted one more element for Mario to avoid, so I added in some Goombas that could chase him around. This fight turned out great. I was so happy that I took the time to figure out the eels and immediately made me feel like Timmy Thompson was wrong. After I built that fight, I took a short break and checked my email and got a really strange message from Timmy Thompson himself. I opened it up and it said, "You suck. Show me some cool browser fight in 4 hours or I hack you and dislike all vids." For a moment my heart sank. Even though I feel very protected against Timmy Thompson's hack, I really don't want him to dislike all of my YouTube videos that I've worked so hard on. So with only 4 hours on the clock, I pushed myself to keep going. I needed more practice before making the ultimate Bowser fight, so I took on the Mechawiggler fight next. This fight was the most frustrating thing I have ever made. I tried everything I could think of. I wanted to bring in these mosquito guys and the factory background to change the atmosphere, but it broke the fight. I started over and brought in these big thwomp looking guys, but it froze my game. Then I tried again with bullet blasters shooting bullet bills at Mario during the fight. It seemed like it worked for a while, but it actually broke the boss and the Mechawiggler wouldn't come out of the wall. I tried a few more things like bringing in these magmatos, making tanks not respawn, and making giant tanks, but everything I did kept breaking the boss. So after almost 2 hours of trying things for this fight, I present to you the only thing that worked, fighting the boss with 1 heart. It was actually way harder than I thought not to take any damage in this fight, but I'm disappointed that I couldn't do more with this boss, and I couldn't help but feel like Timmy Thompson sabotaged me somehow. You won this round, Timmy, but the war's not over. I only had 2 hours left to do 3 more fights, so I pushed myself to move forward and get it done. The Cookatiel fight was a really weird one to make. I started by changing the color on the boss to make him stand out against the pink lava. Before I show this next part, I do have to seriously warn any photosensitive viewers. Please skip ahead if you don't want to see any flashing lights. Okay, so I have no idea why this happened, but the background of this fight ended up looking like this. After trying to fix it for a while, I actually ended up just enjoying the crazy feel it added to the fight, so I left it in. I like those stone smashers in the lava that are already in the fight, but I felt like they were way too easy to dodge, so I extended all 3 of them to be way harder. I also made Cookatiel twice as big, which made everything way scarier in the fight. When I tackled this fight myself, it was surprisingly hard. If I wasn't careful about where I was going to land whenever I jumped, I would immediately be smashed by those rock circles. The boss being twice as big was a real problem too. Every time I climbed up the lava vomit, I kept falling through because even though it looks twice as big, the hitbox was still the same size as the original boss. It made it really hard to land on the exact spot to keep climbing. This boss took me the longest to beat so far, but it ended up being extremely satisfying once I did. The last revenge fight to conquer was Torkdrift. I thought about bringing in a small patch of poison into the center of the arena, but since I couldn't get it to work quickly and I had already used poison in the first fight, I thought up a new solution. To go with the Wooded Kingdom theme, I tried to use stumps as obstacles. Because Mario is in a capture form for this fight, he wouldn't be able to get rid of these stumps, so I put them all over the arena. Just for fun, I added mini Goombas and made them extra tiny, sprinkled them around to chase Mario and keep him moving at all times. I jumped into the battle and was pleasantly surprised. I needed to jump over laser beams and the stumps made it challenging to figure out where to jump and where to land. I even needed to get on top of these stumps in the center of the arena to do any damage to Torkdrift. The Goombas were a good challenge at the beginning, but once the laser discs got triggered, they all got wiped out immediately. This fight was a bit strange, but I liked that it was a creative and original way to use those stumps. I only had 30 minutes left to make the most epic Bowser fight out there. My idea was to make 3 smaller Bowsers to fight all at the same time, and it did not go according to plan. During the cutscene, the 2 extra Bowsers were attached to chains and had their punching hats over the top of them. When the fight actually started, the 2 extras were just glitched standing there, and extra Peaches were just dangling from the sky. I couldn't interact with them at all. I was hoping when I beat the main Bowser that the other 2 would wake up and fight me, but all I got was 3 Bowsers, 3 Peaches, and then the game moved forward to the next area. Unfortunately, I only had 11 minutes left to redesign this fight. I went back to the drawing board, got rid of the 2 extra Bowsers, and brought in Quicksand from the Sand Kingdom. Now, last time I tried using the Quicksand, it crashed my game, but I was very hopeful this time it would work. I added cacti all around for Mario to avoid while fighting. Now for the most nerve-wracking moment, I started the fight. If anything crashed the game or broke at this point, I wouldn't have any time left to fix it before our time was up. The fight was really difficult. The quicksand made Mario slow in getting to Bowser, so he would just jump away most of the time. If Mario was too slow and didn't jump enough, he died in the quicksand. The cacti made me have to strategize my pathway to avoid damage and get to Bowser quick. After minutes of sweating and coming down to the final few seconds, I defeated Bowser and was safe from Timmy Thompson's dislike attack. I also customized all the brutal fights in Mario Odyssey. Click on the video on the screen right now to see how it went. Please subscribe so Nintendo will hire me. I'm Arrowstotle, and thanks for watching.